What up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to talk about my time as a rapper when I was younger in Midland, Texas. Now, I want to tell this story because basically it's a history of, what I did when I was younger, the role I played in the West Texas rap scene in Midland, Texas, in the South Side. And this is going to branch off from this other stories that I can tell, starting from this point. So when I was younger, I was heavy into the street. It was no secret. And back in my day, we looked up to rappers a lot. Not that we sat around saying, I want to be a rapper. It's just that I had an idea in my head that maybe I could blow up and save my people, make a lot of money, get fame. I don't know, whatever you want to call it, right? What a young kid dreams about, especially out here in the desert, right? An escape, right? Basically. So when I was younger, I was heavy into the street. And I wanted to make music. And I remember when I told my wife, my then girlfriend, we were in an apartment, and I was so nervous to show her, what I wanted to do with myself, because I really never told nobody, right? And when I showed her, I was basically making beats on a PlayStation. It was a music generator 1 and 2. I would make beats on it, and I got very good at making it. My first album actually had nothing but beats from the PlayStation, right? And anyway, all original, should I say. But when I showed my wife, I remember I was so nervous in the apartment, y'all. I was there showing her what I wanted to do. I told her I had a dream, and she always kind of knew I had an idea of doing something. And when I showed her, I kind of closed her eyes and I played one of my songs. And it was a pretty neat little experience. And she heard me, and nobody had heard me at that time. And she said, yeah, it sounds okay, whatever. And she supported me along the way. Same thing with my family, my brothers, my parents. I never really made it a big deal. I wanted to be a rapper. It was kind of more deeper with me with the music. And when I finally showed everybody what I wanted to do, I basically went to Dallas and bought all my equipment with it was like an income tax flip. My mother owed me some money for me buying her a Lincoln. I bought her a Lincoln like $4,000 to $7,000 cash. I can't remember the actual number. My little brother wrecked the car, but she paid me back later, and I used that money to go to Dallas to Guitar Center, and I bought all my equipment, right? And I didn't even tell my mom until we got up there what I was going to do, right? It was kind of a secret, for some weird reason. And I'm being, candid, telling everybody this now, but that's just how it was. I was never in the hood or in the street talking about, oh yeah, I'm gonna be a rapper, busting flows or nothing like that. It was just something I had deep in me that I thought that I could do, and I did it pretty good, to be honest. And that's why I do want to tell this, because this is historical, especially for Midland, Texas. I played a role. I was a pillar in the rap scene back in the day. So anyways, I get my equipment. I start my studio, and not only did I rap, right? I made the beats. I produced. I actually, made songs. I was more than just a rapper. I would have other people and friends, whatever, that would come around, and I would, help make songs, CDs here and there. And I got pretty popular as far as, locally. And back then, there was really no push for, online and nothing like that. This is when the internet was barely taking off. They had MySpace back in the day, but as far as streaming sites or anything like that, it really wasn't available. There wasn't even smartphones back in that time, right? I wish I had the exact date, probably around, I want to say 2000. I might be wrong on the date, but anyways, in West Texas, I was I'm not gonna say one of the first, but I know I was one of the most popular in Midland at the time as far as making music. There was a lot of us, or not a lot of us, but there was quite a few of us in Midland and Odessa. And I was one of the ones, the predominant ones in Midland in the South Side, that was pushing albums. My first CD I made, we printed it up, in my back house in my studio, and we took it to the little Jamaica, the little fair down the street. And I remember I was just selling them like $5 a CD. And man, it was selling like hotcakes, to be honest. It was called From Dakota Avenue with Love. It was red. I was standing on top of my red Monte Carlo. Basically, it was a hood classic album, and that's the one that I made with just straight up beats from the PlayStation, right? And from that point on, I became a staple in the West Texas underground rap scene. Now, I didn't really get, too much invited or liked much by the other rappers locally, because to be honest, with rap music, there's a big ego involved. And, everybody thinks they're the best. And that's just how it is. It's competitive, right? But anyways, I held it down. I had people tell me before that they bought my CD. I influenced them to make music. They were proud of it. They would get my CD and they would drive down Dakota Street. That's where I used to live at, and they would look for my house, but they would be on the other side. I'm on the southwest side of Midland, and they would tell me, stories of them driving down looking for my house because I had the house on the CD, right? And I was banged out, ganged out, selling dope, in making music, right? But anyways, again, I was one of the ones in Midland that really put on a lot of people, to be honest. And I got to touch on that real quick. There's a lot of people that I helped that basically weighed me down. Now that I look at it all, you know, in hindsight, I probably could have got a lot further in my music career if I would have stayed off the dope, right? If I would have quit selling dope earlier, and if I would have quit hanging around with a bunch of people that were basically using me for free studio time. And that's just how it is, right? I had a couple of groups around me that I would help. And before you know it, we were beefing with each other, trying to fight. You know what I'm saying? Again, it's a lot of ego, a lot of backstabbing, you know, being a entertainer, rapper, whatever you want to call it. There's someone I want to talk about later. A lot of people know about this person. I told my wife I wanted to talk about it, but she said, you know what? You know, we don't want no drama because the people that I dealt with, man, we were all tied to the street, you know, big time. It wasn't like we were, for the most part, at least I know for myself, I wasn't like just some gimmicky rapper. Like the stuff I was talking about, we were really doing it and living it. And it was to the point that, you know, if you had my CD or if you were, you know, from my side of town and someone dissed the CD or me or whatever, I mean, I've heard of fist fights breaking out. My cousins in Odessa, you know, fighting over my name and whatnot. Like it was kind of weird, right? Whenever you're so tied to the street and then you make music, music that goes along with your lifestyle and whatever, you know what I'm saying? It can get pretty personal. It can get pretty nitty gritty. You know, it can get pretty rough and wild, to be honest. I remember when we would do shows at the Roadhouse in Odessa, Texas, my wife already knew, park in reverse, because every time we did a show, there was always drama popping off, fight, shooting, whatever. And we were always in the mix, me and my people. And that was another problem too. I could never separate myself from the lifestyle that I was talking about on the music. And, you know what I'm saying, it just wouldn't mix correctly because, you know, I was full throttle, a street dude trying to make music and with gang ties, street ties, you know what I'm saying? And when you make music or you want to be a musician, you got to be somewhat professional. You got to be on the ball, on point at all times, which I was for the most part, but you got to learn how to handle business and act accordingly. And like I said, when the streets are tied to the music, like in my case, it was just a bunch of problems the whole time. You know, God bless my wife, my girlfriend at the time. She just, you know, she dealt with it. And we went through a lot of stuff because of the music, right? I went into a lot of debt making CDs. Back in my day, you had to make CDs and, you know, it costs a lot of money to make CDs. I pressed up 1,000 CDs. It was probably about $1,000. I went and picked them up over there in Dallas, Texas, and yeah, it was a big purchase. It was a lot of money, like I said, to press up CDs back in that time. And then going to car shows. You know, you got to pay to get into a car show. I remember I'll be at car shows, renting the booth out, the spot out, and we did pretty good. But like I said, with no organization, you know, being godless, to be honest, being a heathen, being a drug dealer, gangbanger, whatever I was, you know, I believe that, you know, God didn't allow me to really further myself in that. And at the very end of my career, right, when I basically, you know, had to start manning up, keeping a job and working for my family, the music was just put on the back burner. And by the time I knew it, when we finally got our house here, I didn't have nowhere to put my equipment. And by the time I knew it, I just put it in the back. My old computer's just sitting right here. Now I got my little Trump cave and I can make music. I actually have made a couple songs here and there. People want me to make some Christian songs. I kind of got into that. I'll talk about that later. The Christian rap scene, I kind of got dabbled into that later on in life. But now I have, you know, really high quality audio and video gear, and I might dabble here with some music here and there. But like I said, at the end of my rap career, when I was in the street, it basically just dwindled down to where, you know what I'm saying, I had to focus on my family, you know, keep a job, not smoke weed, and focus on my family, you know, my responsibilities. So the music kind of just dwindled down. And to be honest, it's kind of a good thing because, like I said, one time I did a show on the final stretch of my rap career. You know, I did a song with someone in Odessa, and so happened to be the person that was on the track with me was from my rival gang, right? We're rivals, you know, nationwide, and they put us on a song together. I go to Odessa to shoot a video, the only probably video I ever did in my life, and there we are in the bar, you know, fist fighting, and you know the rest, right? I don't want to say too much here, but again, that was at the latter part of my career when it was already, you know, I was already kind of hanging it up at that point, and yeah, it got pretty wild. Again, when you mix the streets with music, it's crazy. And to be honest, I really didn't want to tell too much about this, but man, like I said, it's history in Midland, Texas. I'm a historical person in Midland, not trying to sound big-headed, but, you know, they know me. I gained a lot of enemies a couple of friends throughout my music career, and that's just the fact of the matter. That's just how it goes. Many came and went. Nobody really ever kind of blew up in West Texas. I think I did pretty good. I was pretty popular. My name was buzzing in the city. And again, it's not always a good thing, but at the same time, it's always not always a bad thing either. My point, my situation was I was just basically, you know, a street dude making music, and I already had a bunch of enemies, right? So I could never really further my career because I was, you know, one foot in the street, one foot in the studio, and mixed with drugs and the street life. It's a no-go, basically. But like I said, you know, I was one of the, I'm not going to say one of the first, but one of the ones that was out here, you know, selling CDs, making music that people would actually listen to. You know, I got people, family and friends that would hear my stuff, and it's just, you know, a certain kind of sound that I had, the stuff that I would say. You know, I'm not saying I was the most popular and the best rapper, but I just know that the stuff I made was pretty heartfelt. It wasn't always all bad, you know, gun, gang, whatever kind of music. I've always felt that my music did have some kind of a foundation to it, as far as, you know, being loyal, being upstanding for the most part, you know, for being a street guy. Basically, you know what I'm saying? My music reflected on the person I was. And even though I was a street dude, you know, I was still, I believe, a stand-up person, as far as, you know, not being scandalous, not ripping people off. People would rip me off. You know, they owed me money. Probably another video I'll do about, you know, being a street guy and what I dealt with, you know, out here in West Texas, you know, selling, you know what, right? Not that I want to glamorize that, but again, this historical. I pay my debt to society. You know, I'm a born-again Christian now, but looking back on it, maybe someone can hear this story and kind of, what's the word here? They can relate to my story, right? And again, back in my day, I was just making music, tied into the street, and living it rough and rugged. And the albums, they would speak for themselves, you know what I'm saying? And it was a wild time. We did shows. We opened up for some big names here and there. But like I said, it was very tough to get anywhere when you're, you know, one foot in the street, one foot in the studio. I had a great studio, you know what I'm saying? I paid a lot of money for my equipment. I learned how to mix and master on my own. A lot of guys loved how I would produce songs, because I helped a lot of people, which they probably won't admit it now. Some probably will, help start their careers, help shape them to make music, to start their own record labels and all that. And it just went sour with a lot of people I dealt with. That's why I want to talk about, you know, like I said earlier with my wife, I want to touch on a certain subject with a certain person, but I got to be very careful, because like I said, dealing with the street, how heavy I was in the street, and how these names and these people are still known about, talked about, you know, loved. You know what I'm saying? You got to be careful when you speak on these names, because it's not a game out here in West Texas. You know, we're not the most toughest gangsters or whatever, but, you know, there's families and there's people out here that will split your wig, and they will, you know, look for you. They will go after you if you disrespect them in a certain way. I'm not saying that I'm afraid, but again, I'm just saying I got to tread lightly and know how to go about these sensitive topics, because, you know, some people ain't here no more, right, to tell their tale. But I did have influence on some people. I did help a lot of people, and I think it's important that I share this part of my life, even though I'm not really too proud of it, to be honest. But I mean, it's part of my life. It's part of my history. I was doing it back then, you know, and I guess, to be honest, you know, I don't know if God, I know that God had bigger plans for me, and I kind of just got away from making music in the world, right? And now here I am, you know, business owner, you know, family man. Thank God I didn't go to prison like a lot of my friends and family. I'm not in the grave, but I did live pretty rough and rugged, and it's crazy because I was making music at the same time that I was in the street. And, you know, when you're back in my day, at least, when you're in the street, you got to keep a low profile, and you can't be, you know, talking too much. You know what I'm saying? It's not like nowadays with these internet gangsters and everybody's telling everybody everything online. You know, back in my day, it was something to hold your mud and just to keep quiet and to keep silent. But anyways, I'm blabbering, I guess. But I wanted to touch on that, basically, that, you know, I was a rapper. I was, you know, in the street, you know, rapping about what I was doing and doing what I was rapping, basically. And, you know, it was something else. It was something that I want to touch on more. And I even have stories about me, you know, working with different, I would say, hometown rival gangs. I remember we made an album with my wife's cousin, and my people kind of didn't like it because, you know what I'm saying, he's from the east side of Midland, I'm from the south side. But I got along good with the gentleman, and we made an album together. And like I said, it was so tied to the street that, like I said, it was just it was all very sensitive as far as, you know what I'm saying, putting out content, putting out music, because I don't know, I guess Mexicans or whatever you want to call them, they're a prideful people. They take things very serious and they get offended pretty easily, and they take offense, and they're not playing games, right? So anyways, I'll touch on that later about, you know, albums I made, projects, and, you know, how we made songs, and you know, some stories about that. And again, I want to touch on some certain topics of certain people that I did help that, again, some ain't here no more. But I think it would be pretty interesting to those that follow the rap scene in West Texas, because I got some info that nobody else really has on, you know, certain people from Midland, some alive and some not alive at this point, right? So anyways, there's my spiel about me being a rapper. Probably gonna be a part 2 about it, y'all. There's a lot more I can talk about. I'm gonna end this video here. Thanks for watching, and catch you on the next one.